Have you ever thought about the kind of risk someone takes when they leave behind their family, their home, and everything they know, just to earn a little money abroad? Today's story is about one such man. He went overseas chasing a dream and came back with nothing but his life. This story was so powerful and heartbreaking that it was first published as a novel in 2008 and later turned into a film in 2024, The Goat Life. This video isn't just a movie breakdown. It's a real-life journey that will stay with you long after it ends. So stick around till the very end, because this isn't just Najeeb's story. It's the story of thousands who are still lost in that desert. The story opens with a man in a desperate state. He's lost in the scorching deserts of Saudi Arabia, starving and dehydrated. His body is weak, and his spirit is fading. He has no idea whether he'll make it out alive. Then, the narrative shifts into a flashback. We see two brothers, Najeeb and Hakeem, arriving at the airport in Saudi Arabia. They've come here with dreams of earning money and building a better life, but their employer doesn't show up to receive them. Hours pass as they wait, and eventually, evening falls. Suddenly, a stranger approaches them and asks for their passports. Without much explanation, he takes them along. Najeeb politely asks the man for water, but the request is denied. Instead, the man instructs them to sit in the back of his vehicle. After a long and exhausting journey, they arrive in a remote desert region. By the time they reach, night has already fallen. Seeing the barren desert, both brothers grow anxious. This isn't what they signed up for. They had come expecting to work for a company, not to be stranded in the middle of nowhere. Hakeem tries to calm Najeeb down. He knows both English and Hindi, while Najeeb only speaks Malayalam. But things take a dark turn. The man sells Hakeem to another Arab sheikh and takes Najeeb with him. Hakeem pleads not to be separated. Najeeb tries to stop the man, but he responds with brutal violence, beating Hakeem and forcing Najeeb into the vehicle. On the way, the man stops the car and tells Najeeb to get out. He introduces him to another man and then leaves without a word. This new man tells Najeeb to sleep. Confused and overwhelmed, Najeeb feels utterly alone in this unfamiliar country. Just then, he notices an elderly man speaking in Hindi. But Najeeb doesn't understand Hindi either. Using gestures, he asks the old man for water. The man points toward a tank and signals him to drink from there. Najeeb hasn't had a drop of water in hours. The desert winds howl fiercely, and the cold makes Najeeb shiver. Seeking shelter, he crawls into a tent and falls asleep. But the man already sleeping inside wakes up, furious. He kicks Najeeb and demands to know how he dared to sleep in his tent. He orders him to sleep outside. Najeeb quietly steps out and sleeps under the open sky. At dawn, Najeeb wakes up to see the old man milking goats. The man calls him over and hands him a container of milk, instructing him to deliver it to the master. Najeeb assumes the milk is for him and begins to drink it. Seeing this, the old man snatches it away and signals that the milk is meant for the master. Najeeb walks into the tent and hands the milk to his new owner. The master then tells Najeeb to go outside and learn how to milk goats. Najeeb falls to his knees, pleading. He explains that he didn't come here for this. He came to work for a company. But the sheikh doesn't understand a word and, without mercy, throws Najeeb out of the tent. Just then, the same man who had brought Najeeb to this place returns. Najeeb, desperate for help, hands him his documents and the contact number of the company he was originally supposed to work for. But instead of helping, the man tears up the papers and the number right in front of him. Watching this, Najeeb breaks down in tears. He feels utterly helpless, trapped in a place where no one seems to care. Soon after, his master calls him for food. He hands Najeeb a thick piece of bread, half-cooked and hard to swallow. Najeeb is starving, so he tries to eat it anyway. But the raw texture makes it difficult to get down his throat. Seeing him struggle, the master casually tells him to soak the bread in water before eating. As night falls, Najeeb finds a spot behind a parked truck and lies down to sleep. The next morning, a water tanker arrives to refill the local tank. Najeeb rushes to the man operating it and pleads for help. He asks if there's any way to escape from this place. But before he can get an answer, his master spots him. Furious, the man storms over with a gun and threatens to kill him. After beating Najeeb severely, he leaves him there, bruised and broken. Later that night, Najeeb approaches the old man and asks how long he's been stuck here. The old man replies with a haunting truth. Once someone ends up in this place, there's no going back. The next morning, Najeeb's master orders him to start milking the goats, but the old man is nowhere to be seen. Najeeb finds this strange, but follows the command anyway. He has no experience with animals, and as he tries to milk them, the goats attack him, knocking him to the ground. Slowly, though, he begins to learn. Months pass in this harsh routine. One day, while working, Najeeb catches a glimpse of his reflection in a car window. He barely recognizes himself. His face has changed so much, it feels like he's looking at a stranger. Overwhelmed by despair, he starts to believe he'll never escape this place. Driven by hopelessness, he climbs a hill, intending to end his life. As he reaches the top and looks down, he sees birds feasting on a corpse. Curious and disturbed, he climbs down to see whose body it is. But what he discovers shakes him to his core. It's the lifeless body of the old man he once worked with. His remains have been discarded in the desert, left for vultures to tear apart. In that moment, Najeeb realizes the brutal truth. If he stays here any longer, this could be his fate too. Najeeb returns to the camp, but the next morning, he makes a bold attempt to escape. His master quickly finds out. Riding a camel, the man chases after him and begins firing gunshots. The sound of bullets terrifies Najeeb, and he freezes in place. The master catches up and unleashes a brutal beating, breaking one of his legs to ensure he never tries to run again. He ties Najeeb up for the entire day, leaving him in pain and humiliation. As night falls, Najeeb struggles to free his hands just enough to drink a little water. Time passes, and we see Najeeb herding goats across the desert. One day, out of nowhere, it begins to rain. He quickly gathers the goats and takes shelter inside a cave. After a while, he hears a voice echoing from outside. Curious, he steps out and follows the sound. In the distance, he spots a man, and as he looks closer, he realizes it's none other than his brother, Hakeem. Overwhelmed with emotion, the two brothers embrace and cry uncontrollably. They can hardly believe their eyes. After all these years, both have been living in slavery, separated and suffering. Hakeem shares his own painful journey. He's been forced to work in multiple places and endured relentless torture. Suddenly, a car pulls up nearby. Hakeem looks at it and says, "My master is here." With a heavy heart, he walks away. The next morning, as Najeeb is leading a camel, Hakeem returns briefly and hands him a letter before leaving again. Najeeb opens it and reads the message. Hakeem writes that at his workplace, there's a man named Ibrahim who knows all the routes in the area. He's willing to help them escape. With Ibrahim's guidance, they might finally find a way out of this nightmare. A few days later, Najeeb, Hakeem, and Ibrahim meet at a secret spot. Ibrahim shares a crucial piece of information. The daughter of the big master is getting married soon, and everyone will be attending the celebration. That day, he says, will be their best chance to escape unnoticed. Eventually, the day arrives. Najeeb's master tells him he'll be gone for 2 days to attend the wedding and instructs Najeeb to take care of the sheep in his absence. As soon as the master leaves, Najeeb takes a bath, something he hasn't done in months. He then puts on the same clothes he wore when he first arrived, though they become loose and worn. To hold up his pants, he ties a rope around his waist like a belt. After feeding the sheep, Najeeb whispers to himself, "I'm leaving this place, and I'm never coming back." Just then, Hakeem and Ibrahim arrive. Without wasting time, the three of them set off on their journey. As night falls, exhaustion begins to take its toll. Along the way, they spot a caravan resting nearby. Ibrahim approaches the group to ask for water, but one of the men suddenly opens fire. The three escape narrowly, running for their lives. Morning breaks, and both Hakeem and Najeeb are overwhelmed by thirst. Hakeem turns to Ibrahim and asks, "Where's the path?" "All we see is endless desert." Ibrahim admits that they've lost their way and are heading in the wrong direction. A little while later, Hakeem spots a camel drinking water in the distance. Desperate, he runs toward it like a madman. But Ibrahim warns him, It's just an illusion. There's no water there. Hakeem gets closer and realizes the heartbreaking truth. It's not a drinking camel. It's a dead one, lying lifeless in the sand. The three men continue their journey, pushing forward through the unforgiving desert. At one point, they stop to pray. But suddenly, venomous desert snakes begin slithering out from beneath the sand. Ibrahim quickly pulls Hakeem to safety. Najeeb, however, struggles to move. His broken leg prevents him from escaping. Ibrahim urgently tells him, "Don't move. Stay completely still." Najeeb obeys, and the snakes slither right over his feet without harming him. Both brothers are now completely drained. Najeeb's feet are covered in painful blisters, and he can barely walk. Seeing this, Ibrahim takes off his jacket and wraps it around Najeeb's feet to protect them. After walking a little further, the brothers collapse again, this time from extreme thirst. Ibrahim encourages them to keep going. Hakeem is so weak that Ibrahim lifts him onto his shoulders and carries him. But soon, Najeeb also collapses. Both brothers lose consciousness. In a desperate act of survival, Ibrahim gives them drops of his own sweat to drink. Slowly, the three begin to move again. As they continue, Hakeem starts hallucinating. He sees a city in the distance and believes they've finally arrived. Overjoyed, he runs toward it, shouting, "We made it!" But it's only a mirage. Driven by hunger, he begins eating sand. The intense heat, starvation, and dehydration have taken a toll on his mind. Najeeb tries to calm him down, but Hakeem pushes him away and keeps running until he collapses. Blood begins to pour from his mouth. Najeeb rushes to help, but it's too late. Hakeem's breathing stops. Just then, a violent sandstorm sweeps across the desert. Ibrahim shields Najeeb and pulls him forward, but both are caught in the storm's fury. Eventually, the storm subsides. Ibrahim and Najeeb survive, but Hakeem's body is buried beneath the sand. Najeeb stands up and calls out to his brother, but there's no response. Ibrahim gently tells him, "If we want to stay alive, we have to keep moving." As evening approaches, the two spot a tree and a patch of water in the distance. They run toward it like madmen, but Ibrahim stops Najeeb from drinking immediately, warning that the water might be poisonous. Instead, he wets a piece of cloth and lets Najeeb sip from it. Then he drinks some himself. There, Ibrahim finds an empty bottle, and he uses it to create a soft rhythm, a small moment of comfort in the silence. A little while later, they spot birds flying overhead. That gives them a sense of direction. They now know which way to go. They begin moving toward that side, but as night approaches, Najeeb's condition worsens. Exhausted and in pain, he collapses and sleeps right there under the open sky. The next morning, Najeeb wakes up and realizes Ibrahim is gone. He notices a water bottle left behind. Ibrahim must have placed it there before leaving. Now, in this vast and lonely desert, Najeeb begins walking alone. Hunger and thirst torment him, and his feet ache with every step. He drinks from the bottle, trying to gather strength. Suddenly, he hears the sound of vehicles in the distance. He rushes toward the noise and finds himself standing on a highway. For hours, he tries to flag down passing cars, but no one stops. Evening falls, and still, no one offers help. The next morning, Najeeb walks along the middle of the road, hoping someone will notice him. Finally, a car pulls over. Inside is a sheikh who invites Najeeb into the vehicle and offers him water. They drive into the city, and the sheikh drops Najeeb off in front of an Indian hotel. The hotel owner is a kind-hearted man who helps lost and stranded people. He gives Najeeb a bath and even gets his hair trimmed. Seeing how sick Najeeb is, he calls a doctor for treatment. Najeeb spends the night resting and begins to feel better. The next day, the hotel owner tells him that he's contacted Najeeb's family using the address he provided. Soon after, Najeeb speaks to his family over the phone and breaks down in tears. Later, Najeeb is taken to the police station to begin the process of returning to India. Those without proper documents are kept in jail for 3 months. While in jail, officials arrive to identify people who have escaped from their employers or companies. Arab men come to reclaim their workers. That's when Najeeb sees the man who once enslaved him. The man walks up, places a hand on Najeeb's head, and says, "So you did escape from me." If I had sponsored you, I would have dragged you back to the desert and taught you a lesson." With that, the sheikh walks away. Najeeb is terrified, but a man standing nearby explains, "He didn't sponsor you. That's why he left. But you came here on the wrong visa, and that's how you got trapped in his web. Now, you're free to go home." Hearing this, Najeeb sits down and cries, overwhelmed by everything he's endured in the hope of finally returning home. In the closing scene, we see Najeeb walking toward the airplane. As he moves forward, a quiet reflection fills his heart. He thinks to himself, when someone returns from a foreign land, they usually bring gifts for their loved ones. But all I have to offer my wife and son is the life I have left. With this poignant moment, the film, based on a true story, comes to an end. So friends, now a message to the world, especially to those who employ migrant workers. Across the globe, countless individuals leave behind their families, their homes, and everything familiar, not for luxury, but for survival. They cross borders with hope in their hearts, seeking nothing more than honest work and the chance to support their loved ones. But in that pursuit, many face unimaginable cruelty. They are treated not as human beings, but as tools, stripped of dignity, freedom, and even the right to dream. To those employers who exploit these workers, please remember, they are not animals. They are fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. They feel pain. They miss home. They cry silently, and they deserve respect. No amount of money or power can justify treating someone like a slave. If you're watching this, I ask you, not as a content creator, but as a fellow human, look into your heart. Would you want your own son to be beaten for asking for water? Would you want your daughter to sleep in the desert, hungry and afraid? Let humanity rise above greed. Let compassion replace control. Because the greatest gift you can give a worker is not just a wage, it's respect.